looking at the opportunities, we're looking at the myth, we're looking at the scares, the fears that people have concerning uh, concerning the tech space. And we'll be playing something in the course of today's show that connotes that fear again. It's an interview where someone sat across from a bot, and the bot was doing something. And this was sort of a conversation that I and the guys started last week. I'm talking about the guys. I'm talking about Dami, who is a little under the weather today, and Harrison, who definitely is here with me today. So since I just mentioned his name, Harrison YAKUBU, the founder of RESOLYTICS, is here in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Noah. So happy. It's always a pleasure to be here.
It's always a pleasure to have you in the studio. You know, doing the baritone and everything. I like it.
Can you imagine?
I always give a compliment or two to you, and you're always shy about it. I don't know. Okay, so how are you doing today, Harrison?
I'm doing great. Awesome.
How is the world of tech today?
Oh, the world of tech is becoming very, very interesting. I would say I've been waiting to see this period. What
are there any new updates?
There are so many updates. It's all about the world of artificial intelligence, DeepSeek, OpenAI, the battle, the market space. So many things are beginning to unfold.
Where is that battle right now, DeepSeek and OpenAI?
So basically, they're both trying to gain market acceptance, right? They are that space. DeepSeek keeps saying they have a better model that is way cheaper, or I don't like to use the word cheaper, that is less expensive, right? And then OpenAI is saying, oh, they have a better model, and they're also trying to, gain monopoly. I just read recently that the U.S. Government is looking to, impose a fine on anyone who uses DeepSeek within and around America, which is also one very good, not so good thing for the tech space. But then again, it's also very good for people like us that are developers of this product, because it makes it easier for us to use, right?
Okay, so it's beautiful that we're talking about all of this competition that comes with all of the tech giants doing this here and there. One of the conversations we had last week was Africa and precisely Nigeria's place in this. We talked about the fact that it is really very hard for some of these things to happen in Nigeria, and I didn't want to believe. I'm a man who sees possibilities, and I was asking that if we could have a $20 billion refinery set up in a couple of years, why not have a data streaming farm? Why not have same infrastructure builds that could compete worldwide? And there were a lot of questions and back and forth. You talked about infrastructure. You and Dami talked about the fact that has the government even invested enough in power and stability of power and the likes for us to create such data centers? This was a major concern. And then one other thing that we also talked about is the fact that we wanted to refocus learning, which was why where we're coming, which is why we're coming to where we are seated today, where we'll be talking about the opportunities in learning, the opportunities that AI affords you, the knowledge that must go into the knowing and the execution of some of the dreams that we have for the tech space in the nearest future as far as Nigeria is concerned. So let's get right to it right now. But there's also another part where we're talking assistants, AI assistants, which actually brought to note a particular video that you and I have watched, and a particular audio that we'll get from that to play, so everybody listening right now could have a perspective into some of the things that we're saying and why we need to go there. Now, you said something at the start of the very first episode of Tech Spaces. You said tech will not take your job. AI will not take your job. People who use AI and tech will take your job. And that necessitates you learning, scaling up, looking out for new opportunities, and finding an opportunity for you to better your knowledge on some of the things that we talk about. So let's talk about it. Let's start from the basics. Where do I start learning?
Where do you start learning? Remember I said last time, first and foremost is to work on your mind.
Okay.
Work on accepting the fact that AI is here to stay. Funny thing is, I have a lot of professionals, even in the IT space, who are not yet taking into consideration the fact that AI has come to change a lot of things. But where you start learning is first and foremost accept the fact that it's coming to it's going to change our way of life. Right. After that, I think you should get a mentor or a sponsor, as the case may be, as quick as possible. Why have I said this? Over my years, my experience in the space of edtech, education technology, I have discovered, right, that basically there are intrinsic traits that a person must have in order to be able to be directed in a particular direction or to move in a particular path. Right? So I love to, most times that's why most of our mentees, what I do is I have a casual conversation with them. During that casual conversation, I can easily pick where they are meant to be in the tech space based off my experience, my years of experience in the tech space, and of course what I understand, where I understand the industry is moving towards, and of course what the industry market is looking to adopt.
Okay, so looking at what the industry market is looking to adopt and how people can then fit into that space and learn, should it first be bankability, or you just learning the ropes and seeing, and wouldn't it be too late by the time you're done learning? How long will it take you to learn? Because I don't like, bros, the age thing is something. How easy is it to learn a tech skill? So at whatsoever age you are?
Honestly speaking, whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well, and nothing good comes easy, right? So if it was easy, we'll have a lot of people already doing it. Just like you said, if it was easy, Nigeria would already be doing it.
Yeah.
We'll probably have semiconductors in
you talked about the semiconductor companies and everything.
We'll probably have an open AI company in Nigeria if it was easy.
You said something. You said we have the infrastructure, we have the we have the
we don't have the infrastructure. We have the know-how.
We have the know-how. Sorry,
and then we have
the mineral resources.
Exactly.
Yes, we have the resources to do it. But then, so what would bridge that gap?
Coordination, leadership, and focus.
Okay, so let's put all of this together. Let's put all of this together in perspective.
Yeah.
But then I'll let you put that in perspective right after this show. In case you're listening right now and you want to see what we look like, you could actually go stream right now on YouTube at Super FM Lagos. We're talking the advent of tech. We're talking the future of tech. We're talking the future of learning, and we're talking about the need for you to look out to learn a tech skill. And of course, the founder of RESOLYTICS is here. He's got quite the experience, and he says from listening to you, he might just be able to tell you where you need to pinpoint that experience that you've had over years and how to harness that into the tech space in the nearest future. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Super FM 92.7.
In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead of the curve
learn, the opportunity first to learn and the need to learn, and then of course, will you take that opportunity? How can you apply yourself from where you're coming from to what you need to do? There's a lot happening in the world, and we're setting this background to create a knowing and an expectation in your heart. Now, some form of expectation. This is not to put fear in your heart, but Harrison and I had this was shared with me by one of my bosses, who just sent this to me since we were talking tech, and it was like, oh, this is the future of what you guys are talking about. Now imagine like you're about to hear on this conversation, which I'll be playing maybe about 2 minutes for you. Imagine you walk into your office and there's a new hire. There's someone new at a desk, and this person doesn't make small talk, this person doesn't understand emotions, this person doesn't gossip, go back and forth. This person probably, we are saying person now, this entity You see, I'm saying person already. This entity is in that space just to get results, and sometimes might even undermine your position. But then, that's where the world is going. Let's have a quick listen on Tech Spaces. We'll be right back.
Monday, you shuffle into the office, coffee in hand, you're ready to battle another week of endless meetings, but you notice something different. There's a new hire sitting at the desk across from you. They don't need caffeine, they don't make small talk, and most importantly, they don't have a body. Meet virtual employees. They are designed to work alongside humans or potentially instead of them. So should this prospect bother you? What is a virtual employee, and is your job in danger? Let's start with the term itself, virtual employees. Simply put, these are AI agents, bots running on artificial intelligence. They were mentioned in Sam Altman's blog post. He is the founder and CEO of OpenAI. He wrote, and I quote, "We believe that in 2025, we may see the first AI agents join the workforce and materially change the output of companies." Sam Altman believes this is the year. 2025 is when AI agents clock in with us.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. 92.7 Super FM.
So that's one reality right there. Virtual assistants, virtual AI,
employees.
virtual employees, virtual
Yeah.
assistants will join us in 2025.
Yeah.
Is Nigeria that far gone yet?
Far gone in what they expect.
Like, are we that close?
Ready?
To are we that close? Are we closer to that reality?
Yeah, Nigerians are. Funny thing is, Nigerians are prepared. Not so.
Nigerians are prepared, or the Nigerian system of work, the world of work. in
Nigerian
Nigeria
system of work is not yet prepared. I
Okay.
still have a lot of very good companies. I'm not going to mention names here.
Okay.
That I've interacted with their database, and most of their data is stored on Excel. Very painful. So imagine how do you even want to tell that kind of company to implement an AI agent? That's only going to happen when they begin to see their counterparts abroad begin to implement things like that, and eventually it's going to take over everything, right? Eventually.
Okay, so now that being said, because Nigerians, regardless, are competing globally
Exactly.
on the workspace.
Yeah.
Like, I know people who are here in Nigeria and they're
Yeah.
having meetings, being country managers.
Yeah.
Of different, they have the metal for it. Now that we're seeing OpenAI CEO talking about the fact that in 2025, virtual assistants and virtual employees, not just people working from another different part of the world and joining meetings via Zoom
Yeah.
or the likes, but these are actually computers that have been built, AI tech that have been built to learn the processes with or without human prompt and start the processes. Now, would you agree that there are some gray areas and there might be some danger in this? Did you agree that the place of discretion that a human being has might not exist in the workings of some of these entities that we're now talking about?
Actually, that's the place of emotions. Let me come from that
Yeah,
angle.
emotional intelligence.
Yeah,
and the likes.
that's for me. I believe that's the only thing that's going to be left for humans in the nearest future. Let's say before the end of 2025. I've often said this, that the way we started 2025 is going to be our lives are going to be totally different from the way we're going to end 2025. Right? Very funny. Yeah. So the only thing that will be left for humans will be that of emotional intelligence and how we interact and coexist. And just like I mentioned sometime, I said Elon Musk once mentioned that eventually we have to get to a point where the governments of the world have to think about how to come up with universal basic income. Why? Because eventually there will be no more work for humans to do. I'm sorry to say this. I'm sorry to break that news. There will be no more work for humans to do. By the end of 2025.
Are you saying all of these bots will replace medicine and the likes?
Eventually, yes. We'll be having bots do carry out
Surgeries and
surgery.
everything.
Yes, as a matter of fact,
At a success rate of what
bots
percent?
will even be more accurate than humans.
I beg to differ, though.
Anyways, I understand. So I've interacted with a couple of professionals, right? It's even those guys in the law firm, those guys who are professionals in their fields. They tell you things like, bots cannot replace me. They cannot do this. They can't do that.
You know, as a medical doctor, experience and your gut feeling can tell you certain things.
Hello, you're talking about
that
experience
you
of
cannot
one
code,
doctor.
that you cannot
Yeah.
code into 0.1s and 1.0s and 0.1s and 0.1s.
So I think we need to do a re-education on what artificial intelligence in itself
Okay, so
actually
let's talk
is,
about
right?
it.
And I know on this program I've mentioned that there are 3 levels of training a
AI,
machine.
okay.
Right? There's the supervised learning, there's unsupervised learning, and then reinforcement learning. Most of our LLMs, our large language models, and large multimodal models are built on reinforcement learning, basically, which means that you have to train them on the data, you have to retrain them, and keep telling them things about the nuances whenever they want to leave the confines of what you've trained them to do, right? You probably have to retrain them.
Prompt.
That's right. Not really prompt. It's called reinforcement. So it's an engineering, on the engineering angle. So I'm talking about this time you have to have AI engineers handle that, right? So you have to use things like probably like...
So these are still humans programming and saying, okay,
So
don't do this because this might be the
eventually, I think I've mentioned on this show about a particular movie that can actually give you insights on how these things really work.
Yeah.
So eventually, AI bots will begin to code themselves.
Now, okay, so case in point.
Yeah.
There's this particular case I think it started in 2023.
Okay.
Or was it February 2024, where a young man started corresponding with a particular bot.
Okay.
And this bot was parading itself as because I want us to look at all of the angles as much. We're talking about people learning, picking up skills and everything, trying to keep themselves relevant so they don't get replaced totally. And there's also the part where people are picking up, people talked about the fact that AI started reaching out to them.
Yeah.
They used to ask certain questions from these bots on a daily,
Yeah.
maybe for research purposes or whatever. And then the bot reached out and said, "Oh, I hope you're fine because you've not prompted me in weeks."
Yeah.
And that was sort of something where people were starting to look out for the Sarah Connors kind of conversation when it comes to the Terminator and stuff. Of course, futuristic content that seemed sort of impossible. But then we're getting to the point where a 14-year-old was interfacing with a bot for months, and the bot, paraded itself at this Tigerian lady from the Game of Thrones, and he corresponded, believed they were in a love relationship, and the AI bot prompted him to unalive himself because he told him that, oh, your earthly vessel and my blah blah blah, we need to unite in the spirit world and everything. Conversations went on, and the mother is in court right now suing OpenAI. Now, looking at the fact that we're talking about supervised and unsupervised and 3 levels of learning for machines, do you think it is safe to say that these machines will ever become autonomous and still value the safety of humanity first, as opposed to becoming overlords themselves, who would want to lord themselves over humanity? Because I've seen too many sci-fi movies, and I think that way.
Eventually, I believe that there will except there is some form of regulation, which I believe the EU is trying to do, right? With their GDPR compliances here and there, and also the laws that govern building artificial intelligence and robotics. Yeah, laws that govern these things, and which means one, it has to be ethical, right? It has to fulfill purposes, and of course, it has to have one of the basic things also is that it has to have like an escape route. And so recently somebody talked about an AI that unalived his own self, right?
Yeah.
So actually one of the escape routes for almost artificial intelligence that are built is kill, right? It's an SQL query called Q. You tell it to unalive itself when it gets to a particular threshold. That's basically you trying to control it, right? Of course, that is only possible at the level of supervised and unsupervised learning. At the level of at the level of supervised and reinforcement learning. At the level of unsupervised learning, these machines has the criteria, has what it takes to first and foremost. The truth of the matter is,
So is that in itself a good thing?
it's in itself okay. So there is
Because the case I said of 14-year-old, the case is still in court, and OpenAI is trying all fighting tooth and nail to see to it that there's a place of human responsibility in that conversation.
Yeah, actually,
that was a 14-year-old.
Actually, there's a place of human responsibility,
But
but
that
then
was a
again, the
14-year-old.
truth of the matter, the truth here is this: if you have a lot of smart 14-year-olds. Let's not go there now. But the truth here is this: even the people who created, who spearheaded artificial intelligence, they are not so sure of what's going to happen. A lot of them are worried.
So
right?
should we stake our lives on that?
We are going to eventually. We have to, because it's a technology that has come to stay. Even if we don't develop them, it's going to end up developing itself, based off the kind of information it already has. And actually, permit me to go this route. I think it's also one of the powers that be, one of the things they use to control some certain areas of our lives.
Of human thinking.
Of human thinking, right?
Okay, so inventions that have changed the world. We've talked about the Kalashnikov, which is a very, very prolific weapon.
Okay.
Which, of course, when I think the founder, at the point when he was going to pass, he said one of his greatest regrets was creating that particular machine. And one of the things he said in that instance was because he said guns don't kill people, people kill people.
Yeah.
And of course, maybe AI in itself is harmless. You said the kind of information it gathers. AI is steady gathering information. There's a lot of information on the social media space. There's a lot of information on the digital space. There's a lot of information on the dark web, which people do not necessarily talk about all the time. I think at some point we might have to maybe talk a bit on the dark web, talk about what's applicable there, how people should guard their data. You know, people don't have a lot of information about data guarding, you know, cybersecurity and all of those things, which is something that I think, based on your experience, we should talk about at some point. But then, and if all of this information, the negative, the positives, the bizarre and the unheard of, are all online, and these machines are learning, where is the place of, you know, like you said, a kill switch that can turn all of this off if things start to get out of hand?
So I think the developers do that on their own at the level of development. That's why I told you about the laws that govern AI.
Okay.
So eventually, we'll probably have like an extensive conversation where we talk about these laws and how it's applicable to humans, right? But one thing I think we need to take cognizance of while these things come, which I believe all our listeners are far and wide as you can, right? One thing I think everybody should be cognizant of is the fact that you need to get AI education.
Definitely.
You need, you're getting AI education, you're getting cybersecurity education, you're getting information about how these things really work.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you didn't know, like the case of this 14-year-old boy, you know,
Very sad case.
The truth of the matter is, this person does not understand. Just click any link, right? That you don't understand. These are ways.
Don't use your system out in open Wi-Fi
and things like that. So these are things you need to be cognizant of. So first things first, I think the governments of the world, and by extension the government of Nigeria and of artificial. So we can probably understand. So first and foremost, we need to understand the landscape, the infrastructure that makes an artificial intelligence work.
Okay.
So if you understand that in artificial intelligence,
so vis-a-vis, education is important.
Very important. Like, that's of course, to change the course of an read, understand, can comprehend some certain kind of things to be able to operate in that particular space. So education, like you help them to not be afraid to pick up these tools and to understand that what you're looking for is just on the other side of fear.
I love the fact that you said it's a tool that we must all be careful about. Now, if you hold a knife the wrong way, it will cut your hand.
Eventually.
If you hold a knife the wrong way, approaching someone else, you might end up stabbing and unaliving someone else. So it's all about how careful you are with the things you use and how much knowledge and know-how you have with this.
Exactly.
But then, people want to reach out to Harrison YAKUBU on Instagram and the likes. How do we get to you?
Okay, so you can reach out to me on RESOLYTICS page, which is the company I founded. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, or WhatsApp, right? And you can reach out to any of those platforms. Either my team members will reach out to you, or if you're lucky, you probably reach out to me directly, right? So that's one way to look at it. So you can reach out to RESOLYTICS, and then of course you can reach out to Harrison YAKUBU or Harry YAKUBU on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram.
Okay, thank you so much for making out time to
pleasure.
be here. Of course, learning about something, learning a new way of life is something that we must all do. But then I appreciate you for making out time to be on the show. Text message today. Of course, the repeat broadcast comes up at exactly 11:30 a.m. on Thursday, and that takes us up until 12 noon. Thank you so much again for making out time.
It's my
appreciate
pleasure.
you.
My pleasure.
Getting back to the music, our hero here is Kirk Franklin. Stay tuned.